This is the famous TEDxPhoeniciaU's work. He's known to capture the best moments of the wildlife. He even does portraits, candids, and landscapes too. Each photograph is different from the other, yet they all have something in common. Something that can only be seen through the eyes of a fellow photographer. What is common among all these photographs is the photographer, and the fact that he created these photos but is not in any of them. See, as a photographer, you can never capture yourself perfectly in that perfect moment, unless you count nowadays selfies. I'm not a big fan though. As photographers, we look at the world differently. We see the world through our lens. We set up specific settings, just like a camera. When we want subject to capture, we go through frame, light, symmetry, contrast, and every other detail, no matter how minute it might be. We set our focus on specific things and blur out the surroundings. And this particular behavior is sometimes transferred into our personal lives. Because we're so used to focusing on subjects and blurring the neighboring, we become super aware of details that are usually overlooked by others. A polite or a diplomatic way of saying that we sometimes become obsessed with details. Like that one time I went to the hospital to check on my grandfather. Everyone was so worried, including me. But what nobody noticed and kept bothering me was that the bed had a frame above it, and it wasn't correctly placed. It was just a little bit to the right. The right inclination kept distracting me the whole visit. Towards the end of it, I got up and decided to fix it. I approached my grandfather's bed and leaned over it. Everyone, including my grandfather, thought that I leaned in for a hug. So I ended up in that awkward position where I'm leaning over my unwell grandfather just to fix the frame. Call it obsession, call it super aware. All what really matters are the details. Other situations where I become critical is when one of my friends takes a picture of a really nice view or scene, but messes up something that could have made it phenomenal. Again, no one really notices the mess, but those who have the eye for details. Sometimes, being too aware has its consequences, since what you see cannot be unseen. And trust me, there are some fine details that I wish I had never noticed. But it does come with loads of benefits. Our best advantage is knowing where our goal lies and focusing on it. Just like capturing a photograph, we set up everything we need to reach the perfect result. And no picture is perfect from the first try. We take many shots and keep repeating until we reach the result we want and are satisfied with. Looking at these photographs, you'd think it only took one click to get a photo like this. These perfectly captured moments are the result of many and multiple tries. And that's how we work in life. Now let's take a look at these pictures. When you see these pictures, the first thing you notice is the happiness radiating out of the people in them, their friendship and how they're enjoying the moment. I bet if someone was asked to caption this, they'd probably say something about best friends, friendship, or even squad goals. For myself, however, when I look at these pictures, the first thing I see, or the first thing that comes to my mind really, is who's the other friend? Who's that one friend who gave up being in the picture just so they can capture it? I know the feeling because I've been there many, many times. There's always that one friend in a gathering who sacrifices the joy of being inside the frame just for the sake of others. I remember standing behind my lens, trying to fit everyone in the frame and capturing that moment. If you take a look at this photo that I took recently, it was just one of those regular days my friends were hanging out, and I thought it was worth capturing. I like this photo. It's spontaneously symmetrical. Suddenly, I asked myself, how would it feel like to be unusually inside the frame? How would it look like? I imagined the scenario, and here's the result of such imagination. If you haven't noticed, I intentionally inserted myself in 3 different possible scenarios, which grant me a visa to enter the frame. I wondered, what if I was chatting with Lena, Nina, and Adam about their dorm experience? I wondered, what if I was sitting next to Ziad as he introduced me to his latest friend? I wondered, What if I was standing next to Ali and Yara and contributed to their debate about gender equality versus equity? But please disregard my imagination. Forget about my inside-the-frame fantasy, as it does not really matter because I will not notice myself, and neither will most of you. I'm part of the blurry surroundings and was never the subject of focus. I'm never in the photos. I'm always behind the scenes. But I would appreciate it if the public would save even a very little bit of their appreciation to great photos, to attribute this to the behind-the-scenes artist who captured such photographs. Being a photographer, a lot of my memories come from behind my lens where my friends are captured smiling and laughing. Some even complaining that they didn't get the perfect angle when I myself am not included at all. Looking back at those memories, you'd remember all the fun you had and those who were surrounding you. I remember that one time at my sister's wedding when I first got to experience not being behind my lens. For once, I was at the receiving end of it. I was the one laughing and posing instead of calculating frames and symmetry. I enjoyed this feeling, being the photography, if I may say, not simply the photographer. However, looking back at those photos later, I was not pleased about the details that should not have been included, about the light, the symmetry, the angle, the whole list. Even when I want to be inside the frame, I can't help but be thinking, what is happening outside of it? And that's okay. It's okay if a few details are not to my liking, as long as I got to be captured enjoying some happy moments with those dear to me. It's also okay if I didn't get to be part of a really nice group photo. After all, my style, my perception of the small little thing, the angle and light I try to capture are already a reflection of myself. I'm already in the photo, even if not everyone can see it. Once again, those who have the eye for details and are familiar with my lens will know who pressed the button and froze a moment in time. Thank you.